Well, Kenyans abroad have been urged to bring back their skills and expertise into the country after their stay abroad. While addressing delegates at the Kenya Diaspora Homecoming Convention, Professor George Njenga said that the diaspora was an important resource for investment and development. Well, this is in line with matters to do with trade as well. And just to take you through to a big issue that continues to emerge is the trade automation report, which was actually released today. And let me walk you through those numbers. And as you can see there on the screen, trade numbers have been improving following the automation of key trade portals, as well as improving the ability to transact business for businessmen. Well, let's now get into an interesting conversation on construction, and I'm now joined by Moses Nyakiongora, who is the chairman of the National Building Inspectorate. Many thanks for joining us this afternoon, Bwana Moses.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Looking at Kenya right now, a lot of attention has been focused on the building code, where we've seen buildings have collapsed from last year, this year. Where do we stand right now as an inspectorate? What have you done so far?
Thank you very much. Let me say this building inspectorate came into being last year. No, last year, but 2015, that is.
Correct.
This was a presidential directive after there was rampant collapsing of buildings. You know, we have had a history of collapsing buildings here in Kenya, both old buildings and buildings that are under construction, something that should not happen. So in the year 2015, just before 2015, 2014, late 2014, we had a number of buildings collapsing, almost one every month. And they were not only collapsing in a small way, they were collapsing in a big way, killing people. We remember buildings like in Makongeni, Huruma, Roysambu, all those places. Those collapsing buildings were not a small thing. It drew the attention of the government, the highest, the president. Then he ordered that there must be an audit of all the buildings, especially residential buildings in Nairobi, to ascertain their safety, especially the structural integrity and other safety. So the building meets the minimum standards for habitation.
So as an inspectorate, just bring us up to speed on some of the key reforms you've been able to institute.
Yeah, after that formation of the unit, we also brought in other stakeholders, those who are involved in the construction industry. We have National Construction Authority, which is actually a regulatory authority for contractors.
Yes.
We brought in other professionals like EPK, Engineers Board of Kenya, which registers and regulates engineers, Board of Regional Architects and Surveyors. These are the key people, and then contractors. These are the key people in the construction industry. We did not focus on the building, the buildings that are under construction. We focused on existing buildings, because those that are under construction are supposed to be done properly. The National Construction Authority is supposed to ensure we have a registered contractor. And those who do approvals, the county governments, are supposed to ensure that we have professionals involved. The first instance, if you involve professionals, then it is very rare that something can go wrong. Things go wrong when you don't involve professionals, when you have people taking shortcuts. So with this directive of 2015, our mandate was to audit, inspect and audit all the buildings, residential especially, to ensure that they meet the minimum standards. And the first inspection is structural integrity. Because when a structural failure occurs, that's the one that kills people immediately.
All right.
So we have done quite a number of buildings over the last 2 years. Now going into the third year. We have already inspected close to 5,000 buildings, mostly in Nairobi and other towns like Kisii, Kiambu, and a few in Mombasa.
All right. And from a structural point of view, what were the key outcomes of these studies that you did and the inspections that you did?
Where buildings have failed, we have found that concrete, which is normally the main ingredient of a structure, high-rise structure, concrete and reinforcement. Either the concrete is of poor quality, it is under-designed, and then it's also the workmanship, that's the mix is poor, and the reinforcement is under-reinforcement. You have less diameter past than what should have been done.
All
and
right.
this is just a shortcut by greedy developers. Yeah.
And do you think we have sufficient measures in place to take action on rogue developers who eventually go scot-free at the end of the day?
That's our complaint. Nobody should go scot-free. If you remember the Hammurabi laws during those Middle East Stone Age, Hammurabi had a number of laws where that if you are a builder, you build and the building collapses, then you are also killed. If it kills somebody, it's a tooth for tooth, eye for eye. If the building collapses and it kills people, you are also supposed to be killed. But we don't want to go that way because we don't have Hammurabi laws. Those ones were instant. They were instant punishment, and they deterred people from taking shortcuts. But here we have laws. Okay, when a building collapses, the first thing is the developer to be arrested, taken to court, and charged. From there now, things don't work out very fast, because from 1996, after the Sunbeam, I've never seen anybody convicted that the building collapsed and killed people or maimed people. Nobody has been convicted. I always complain the justice system is slow. Either the cases are still there, or they have been dismissed, or for one reason or another. This has not encouraged or discouraged those rogue developers. Right. They still take shortcuts.
And are there jurisdictions we can borrow some of the practices and adopt back home that would be ideal in our sort of environment?
Yeah, we have benchmarked other countries where inspection is regular, it's normal. Like most developed countries, especially the Eastern world. When you get an occupation certificate, that means the building is certified as safe and meets all the minimum standards for habitation. But after that, in Kenya, we have no follow-up. That occupation certificate cannot last forever because things change.
Sure.
Buildings settle, maybe you might overload it, the grounds can change, the soils can change. So we must have regular checkups, periodic inspections, such that maybe ever after 5 years, your building is inspected to make sure that whatever certificate you are given is still applicable.
All right.
It is still compliant. So that if there is anything to be done in between, maybe remedying something, a repair here and there, so, as teaching, time saves 9.
Sure.
We don't have that kind of follow-up.
All right. And finally, Mr. Nyakiongora, looking at where we are right now, what is in your entry come January on some of the key reforms you'd like to see in the build sector?
We have a draft bill in Parliament. It went there and came back to the Cabinet. It's called the Build Environment Bill. It is the one that maybe can have a few solutions, like what I said, periodic checks of buildings.
Sure.
That can go a long way, such that every building is inspected every after 5 years, for example. You have checkers, you have a structural person, you have a healthy person, you have a planner. Make sure that your building is still compliant to what it was intended. Then we need to enforce the laws that are there. We have laws also, but the enforcement and the shortcuts are also quite rampant.
All right.
If we synthesize the public also, I want next year and onwards, after that bill is enacted into law, we also synthesize the public. I'm happy to say that since we started, people are very much alert. If you see any sign, because we have been teaching people for what signs to look at for an unsafe structure.
Yes.
There could be maybe a crack, a major crack, so there's a building settling unevenly, or your door is not closing properly, it has been closing, but now it is hard, the windows. Then you sound an alarm. You call us on our hotlines, we check it for free. We have also had the developers after completion of buildings, tenants complain. electrical works are not properly done, water, sewer system, pipes are leaking from columns. And then to make matters worse, it's not only structural failure that we check, health. Some rogue people are also discharging raw sewer into open drains, and it goes into the rivers. The 4 rivers in Nairobi are badly polluted from those rogue developers.
So this eventually affects the ecosystem?
Eventually affects the ecosystem. It affects anybody who touches those waters. We hope, we have also done a study on the 4 rivers and given recommendations, like what the late Michuku was doing down the river Nairobi. We are working with the Water Management Authority. If we get funding, we clean those rivers, we rehabilitate all the rivers, we remove those who have encroached on the riparian space. Then we recreate the areas so that it is a recreational facility. We have even where you can go and relax with your family and time down the rivers, jogging tracks, cycling tracks. It can be done.
All right.
Yes.
And just to wrap up the conversation, what happens if someone builds on riparian land from an environment standpoint and from a construction standpoint?
Okay, riparian space is left for a reason. That's for environments and water catchment and all those. Our mandate is also to demolish that without questioning. It's on a riparian space. We don't even question. But there is a catch-up, or what we can say, there is something.
Land grabbers.
Land grabbers. Those ones, we don't even talk to them. We go and demolish with the county government. So long as we find they didn't get approvals, you came and put up your illegal structure. We have no questions. We get National Youth Service to demolish your structure. But there are areas where the county or authority has been given to those people. You see a few buildings like Nakumatt UK Center is completely on the river, not even on riparian space. It's 0 distance. We call it 0 distance from the river. That one, approvals have been given. So we have to do reverse approval, and that is for the county government. As soon as they do reverse approvals, that is, they disapprove now what they had approved, and we can assist them in demolishing.
Many thanks, Moses Nyakiongora.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
We look forward to hosting you in future. That is the chairman of the National Building Inspectorate, just giving us some interesting insights into the construction business this afternoon. Much more coming up after the break.
This is KTN News.